This episode might seem a little weird to you because I'm asking you if it's time to kill your podcast, if it's time to shut it down, if it's time to pivot. But before you leave, hear me out. If you are not enjoying it, you are not seeing what the results that you desire, you are frustrated, you are overwhelmed, and you are unhappy, this is for you. Is it time to kill your podcast? If not, I also give you some solutions on how to make it so fun again. Are you ready? Welcome to the podcast about podcasting, where you guessed it, we're talking all things podcasting, but not just in the sense of strategy of how to launch, grow, and monetize your show. Of course, you're going to get that. But we're going deep into how podcasting can actually help you build your community, build your confidence, and if you're willing to lean deep into this platform, it can be the ticket to the life of your dreams. Because it'll inspire you to go deeper, to get to know yourself. And as we know, success starts from within. If you are ready to stop being a ripple in this world and bust out your tsunami of change you know you were made for, it's podcasting for your soul. I'm your host, Jenn Dragonette, so let's dig in. Is it time to kill your podcast? I know. I'm Jenn. I'm your podcast editor, strategist, producer, podcast junkie, and I'm asking you if it's time to kill your show. That it's a harsh reality, right? It's really hard because maybe your show has become your baby. Maybe your show is so ingrained in part of you. But are you getting the rewards? Are you sitting in overwhelm? Are you feeling burnt out and like you just can't do this anymore? If you listen to the last episode that released on March 21st, 2023 on the podcast, you know that there's different types of overwhelms and two main reasons that podcasters fall into this overwhelmed state. I left out a third one when I was in Vegas, and I think that it's going to do a disservice to all of you if I don't share this with you. So is it time to kill your podcast? This one is really hard for me because, as you know, I have two podcasts. I have this one, The Cure for Pod Fade, and I have the Feed Your Business with Love podcast. That one is strictly a passion project. Is it time to kill my passion project has been on my mind because it does take time now that I'm leveraging podcasting even more in my business and I've gone all in with podcasting. Is it time to let go of my other show? And right now my answer is no. And here's my reason for it. One, I still really, really enjoy having that show. It is still a core mission of mine to create a tsunami of self-love in your business and in your life. That is a core mission of mine. What was that? That's two. So three, that is that I am still networking through that show. That show allows me to talk to a lot more people in business because it isn't as niche down as this show. It is still a top 5% podcast in the world, ranking in over all of the podcasts that are out there. It's still a top 5%. These are some great reasons why I am not ready to let that go. But what I did realize is that 2 episodes a week for that show was no longer in my best interest. So I'm putting out really good quality one time a week. I am opening that one up to more interviews because I loved when that show was all interviews. I loved having back-to-back interviews. I loved having those constant connections. And it's so much harder to have those back-to-back interviews for The Cure for Pod Fade because there's not a lot of podcasts. I can't say there's not a lot. I have not reached out to a lot of people who have mastered podcasting that can help you through Pod Fade. They can help you with some of the core things that you're missing in your show. And I think that really is what it boils down to. So is it time to kill your show? If you're not having fun and you're dreading, oh my goodness, I have to turn on my computer. I have to turn on my microphone. It's time to sit down and ask your why. Why are you still doing this? Are you hoping that someday that it's going to get better? Are you willing to put the work in to make it better? You've got to really, really think about that. The next thing you need to do is this profitable to you? If you're not having fun, it's not creating profits, or it's not creating some sort of an internal win, is it worth it to you? And that internal win might not be profits. It might be that you're getting your message, your story out to other audiences. So you're supporting someone. Like Colleen said on one of my shows a long time ago, your story is someone's life raft. Your internal profit, your internal success might be that you are still supporting others. If you are an advocate for something, and you still have some passion behind it, you may not be in love with it. You may not be having fun, but that advocacy part where you are getting the reach outs, that's like, wow, that really impacted me. Wow, I don't feel that alone. That might be enough to keep it going. But if you are not having fun and you are not having that feedback or the profits, okay. Before you kill your show, we need to look at what you've actually done to try to grow your show. Have you tried all the things half-assed? Meaning, are you doing everything halfway like I've done in the past? Because I was scared of being seen and heard and misunderstood and judged. I would start to get some traction and then I would pull back. I would go all in and then I'd pull back. So for me, killing my show didn't make sense until I actually started doing the things that mattered for podcasters. And there are plenty of episodes on the Cure for Pod Fade that tells you those things. So if you have gone through and you started looking at this and it's like, it's not fun. It's not fulfilling my profits. It's not fulfilling my inner cup. It's not bringing me any joy. And it's just not moving the needle forward in anywhere of my life. And I just resent it every day. That energy is going to suck and you're going to repel listeners anyways. So it might be time to, 1, shut the show down completely, or 2, put a pause, put a pin in it. If you listen to my episode with Travis Chappelle, where he is a solid advocate, be consistent, be consistent, be consistent. He's Travis Makes Friends as his show. Be consistent, be consistent. But at the end of last year, he was like, hold up, stop the roll. No, stop. I no longer want to interview people about this. It's no longer connected to me. And he took a 2-month pause. That is terrifying for a podcaster, especially somebody who's had that much growth and had put so much money into ads to build his show, build the network, or grow your network, or I forget what it was originally called. But he took a 2-month pause to inner reflect. So maybe it's time for just a pause instead of you going forward and being like, all right, I'm shutting this down and I'm done. So that's what I want you to start thinking about. Is it time to kill your show? Maybe not. Maybe it's time to pause and start thinking about your why. Start revamping. Maybe you're doing an all interview show and you're like, I'm putting in so much time and so much effort and it's kind of expanding my network just a little bit, but it's not actually bringing in the revenue. It might be time to kill your interview show and go into a solo show and see if that changes. If you're still passionate about the topic and you still want it to go, slow the interviews. If that's scary to you, do every other week as a solo. Start getting you as the expert on your show. Interview shows are not dead per se, but if you want to move faster into profiting, getting your message out, positioning yourself as an expert, you gotta start doing some solo episodes. The more solo you can do, the more you will gain the authority in your industry. So it might be just a revamp. You may go from more originally you're interviewing to more solo. Maybe you're sharing coaching calls with people like I do with the profitable podcast CPR audits that I offer for free, which are those 30-minute calls where I dig into your podcast for 30 minutes and we just coach. It's not a sales call. It's just a coaching. But in turn for you coming in, I might use your show as an episode so that other people can see how I coach. You could probably do that in your business too. You can even do it anonymously because again, podcasting, no video. So even if you're coaching private matters, if someone's willing to share their private matter without their name, you could even change voices so that people can see your coaching style. Gold. pure gold. So I want you to start thinking about this, because before you give up, before you completely fade out, let's look at why you are no longer interested in your show and how we can make the changes. And if you're really, really struggling with this, I have some exciting news for you. Next week, starting March 27th, I'm doing a 5-day profitable podcast CPR boot camp, where we are going to resuscitate your podcast so that we can resuscitate and revive your revenue by getting crystal clear on where the holes are, by rediscovering that passion, purpose, pleasure, and play so that you could revive and ramp up your revenue. Day 4, we're going to talk about how to sell from your podcast. Podcast story selling is what I call it. And day 5 is my all-time favorite day. That's behind the scenes hot seat coaching. For those of you that are participating in the 5-day boot camp, that's hot seat coaching. That's getting me into your business and giving you some sort of a strategy plan to move forward. And I'm really excited about that. And if you're interested in joining that, it's podcastcprbootcamp.com. And I hope to see you next week. So go out, make today amazing, because you are beautiful, you are wonderful, you are worthy. Now go do the thing. See you later.